Hitenak KK or anywhere in the company of people. I do not have very much seen remember. 2-3 people were muttering that the same meaning. Ha ha ha, I should not have seen remember. This guy is not at you guys buddies. Look, quite quickly does not it s in disguise or say or think if a catchy of hand package in the counterpart it was extended to the head, and, plucking a wig, dropped splashed glasses. I have torn off a false mustache, had appeared from among them. Not that was what the real face of Tanamura, indeed the villain even, or at last to that idea, making the verge of crying frowning face. We face down the eye without janky say things, because that there is no escape route. I'm had slipped to such a place. Awa Yokuba, along with reporters gentlemen, I wonder was felt leaving the room and innocently. Ha ha ha, also expected of the villain. I seem to have a good troubled. Nakamura, please catch this guy, quote. Needless to be said, Nakamura chief of, was multiplied by the hand to the other Tanamura of the shoulder. Then, crowded called a criminal outside the door. It was not tied to effortlessly behind him. In this way, the monster Hiruda Drive, finally defeated in a catchy detective, was to have become a pathetic captive people. Code of magic. 4 people of the veteran detective, taking Nawajiri of strange young man called Hiruda Drive, was not yet up the front door of the red brick house. Villain is bowed in low spirits, such as healthy to resist. It is nowhere as unlikely. If you try for example resistance, after being tied up behind him, because I have accompanied the hefty criminal of 4 people, it does not can also be Hada, a catchy detective, Nakamura chief, Ikawa chief engineer, then Kobayashi-kun started 4 boys. Still detention to study, surrounded by a newspaper reporter. Was there to heckle, a catchy whether the detective says, even if you know insects. Things drawn went was here to drive, but I feel as to somehow worried about is not a concern. Those that newspaper reporters, in order to take the article, war because it is enthusiasm, such as but survive it is the obsession grouping close. I quite difficult, and Nakamura chief also. They believe in deeply subordinates. If left to those of that 4 people, even in the unlikely event, if not supposed to happen, such as a mistake, because the thing was assured, beware group Akechi also, with, it was not forgive the heart. However, from the little off guard, it has caused a truly replaced she of stick unexpected big deal. Any strong criminal is, where had many people, I was not able to prevent it. It is not a conflict of power, because it was conflict of wisdom. Also in accordance with the wisdom of 4 people of the veteran detective to 1. It did not reach far from the cunning of the wicked 4 people of the detective, and Hitata criminal that was tied behind him, until leaving the gates, did not sometimes what the unusual. Out of the gate is a big mansion just a lonely town. Here and there, just throwing the street light is pale light. It's so that dandruff also the other night. Pedestrian traffic or no, such as was done even to more of like a distant country. Is the dark stillness. On the dark road, we stopped 1 chapter of the car. Metropolitan Police Department of the Automotive. 4 people of the detective. The criminal put to it. The time being to the Metropolitan Police Department of jail. Such not take, however. Thus too, when I was away a 3-step gate, detective was holding the Nawajiri of criminal. Suddenly, I received a feeling that pulled the gun arm. Do I feel like escaping parent? Damn it, or not to escape, and so considered Totosa, forcefully to finally arm, but I was fumish I'm the down and feet. On the cover, detective noted out and back I have attached a rice cake. Between I think that up the other criminal like the wind had started running. Moment cans. Criminal is what did I do not know I somehow not fall in detective properly. Are you hold the Nawa? And so are death tide way of special. Criminal. I think no more such as by passing the Nawa. No. Leave the arms of the criminal was tied neatly in Jen. not attached to the tip of Nawa. Exactly this will because what was only jacket of a criminal is, in a way that was bound behind him. It has been left behind in there. Will the culprit fled crack and cut off my arm? No way. There is no could do ridiculous things. But criminalus. Both arms of the criminal is. I feel like I missed shot from the place of shoulder did. The arms that remain in the hand. Is not it above all of the evidence? It is magic be also. Though, as was also the ghost, I feel bad for Asukimi. However, no matter how strange, just because. Let's not unexpected chase the criminal to escape. 3 of the criminal who is leaving after a colleague was fallen. Was fledgling suddenly. Marginalized detective. Still remains with a sure mochi. Remarks pull the born you evil likely. Take in hand the arm. Tried held up to the light of Monto. Certainly is the human hand. You are also perfectly aligned shape of the finger. Called the color. Referred to as elasticity. There is no difference in the wrist, which was multiplied by a ring such best detective. However, this coldness what about, for example, whether to arm dropped off, in between the only 2 seconds or 3 seconds. There cannot be become completely so yea. The detective, the cut of the arm, and or not palm of his by chance blood flow. But I tried to put a hand to fearfully close of the shoulder. Nor the state. Just one round that slippery is. Just touching the finger. Oh, LL strange. The detective noticed that there suddenly. And hurry up and stand up. Both of the wrist remains bound. Soon to Sashitsuke and Monto. We looked to elaborate the eye. Then, what about? That was surprised. It was a rubber arm that left over skillfully. From the tint from the shape of the finger. It was a prosthetic hand that can be exactly like the real thing. Oh, that guy would be magic suit guy that what? Wearing a jacket that was sewn a prosthetic hand into the sleeve. Deliberately not bound by the arm of the false. And spoofing look at the off guard. Stripped off his pack and jacket. I was fled, leaving only artificial arm. Meaning that guy has turned off the lights also. We have clearly known at this. He is that your Hasin detective in the doorway of the room. It had long ago Kanzui. So, to turn off the light is, rather than to escape from the room, it was to wear a jacket of magic with this artificial arm. Then, deliberately not broken saw the disguise to Akechi. In that dim room, it was ordered to bound the fake wrist given so. Tears off the hand taken by the switch. Also mean that a precaution. Not tell one electric light suddenly. It does not come to know well how. The detective and Satoru it, more than anything than mortifying, did not block the mouth of love too much of it. On the other hand 3 young detectives are deprived of their attention to the strange events during the 2 seconds or 3 seconds, because the thing had been hesitant. Even try much luck. You will not be able to catch up with the criminals suddenly. For 15 to 6 meters across, while looking at the back of the white shirt. The difference is, I do not Chijimera easily. If this is a lively town, and appeared suddenly with Taratsugi horse, but will of us blocking the escape route of the criminal. In this lonely house the town, where was much screaming, you do not have anything of the paddle. 3 people are just chasing the Shinimanagu Ruiz not well. Each time a criminal is bent the town too, and do not lose the sight. While scared, ran as long as the subsequent breath. Then, when you bend the 3 as the town too, there is a high concrete fence on both sides is also followed by 100 meters or more. But it was a lonely street and deliberately criminalous. At last there, the culprit it has lost look. Oh, where to they went? Sure, but I would have bent here. I funny. Both sided a high fence there is something, where the hide or not. Hey, Pearl River look it. Is not there is a hut of fire watchman to Asco. I like being someone. Z might have seen the criminal. Let's listen. 3 people are out of breath. Saying such a thing. It was close to the fire watchman hut. Hey, I do not have anyone. We are something of the police. I do not the guy who ran this before now. Shirt's a piece of man. if you asked loudly. From half asleep was like the voice of the old man was heard. 2. I what is there was something. Then, the frosted glass door of the hut rattles and opens. A dingy old man came out to the outside and slow, if you look, in an old clothes, with sandals baki, in the head, wearing a soft hat that was torn to mabuka, the cover tree with a long string, and lowered to the neck you have to hang out, in such a decrepit, and good night watch as befit for, is the old man, such is surprising. While criminal who is tut-tut was repeated again the same question. 2. It is are you a husband? That person of the police. The just this before, and I went running in terrible momentum. From Watasha units of the gap. It is only just glanced. It is true of one shirt and the guy it was. I ran over there. The other 2, 300 meters also sees time is going to the other side. Quote, criminalus, if you listen to it, in such a decrepit old man, to regret that aspas. It is not said to be Ray. It out as it is. Also over, old man of the night watch is, while standing idly erect, but had put off a trail of 3 people, and criminal our appearance disappears in town too, while somehow leaked a grin and a strange laugh, suddenly neck to hold the cover tree that has been lowered. It was seared in Xi'an, and, well, such going to one around the future town, and a toddler began to walk to the criminal us ransacking was the opposite direction. Devil's identity. Before long, as the criminal us Shio, are a Vikechi detective and Nakamura a chief, it has been turned back to the study of the mysterious doctor house. By the force of Akechi, the thief was long awaited arrest, because the thing you've relieved take unsatisfying. To apologetically, there is no wonder the criminal were hatched wilting. Akechi detective, but was Hajoni disappointing likely situation, by a means which is not independent of Nanny Boon culprit I think also, because I was slipping the bondage. It does not go to not blame the criminal us. Then that, the relief that bizarre doctor to where exactly, is to locate where to hidden, is the urgent need of time being. Akechi detective immediately was a bisakake a sharp question to criminal us. And the criminal to escape, is between the chasing guys. Beginning 15, so you that did not spaced only 6 meters, made it, and turn a number me of town too, but appear to have suddenly vanished because was is not that funny, somewhere yelling fled to the house of S is not doer. Quote, but, a house in the vicinity of the guy of the disappeared were. Into Tokyo Koshi later one house. But I was also examined, such as the garden, where to you there is no evidence yelling escape of people also. Criminal alone is, I replied in a countenance that does not accumulate in Wonderland. In between you guys are chasing a criminal, but the passers-I did not awa out a man. Hall in any town was not at all crowded. That is not a misunderstanding. Do you really did not awa out to anyone? Akechi. We somehow ask wordy that point. Yes, one person does not encounter. But, oh, speaking of was met, it is the old man of there was a person who met alone. Night watch. We have asked the direction of escape of the offender to the old man was I. But the nan was also no avail. Quote, for example, old man, that person of the night watches had walked from the direction of escape of criminaler? No, we were in the Bangoa night. We were asked to call out. So, you guys that night into the Bangoas, so you did not enter. Yeah, it does not of course if enter through. Because it is time dear even 1 second. What I did not seen, except for in the hut. Yeah, did not something peeping. However, why such a thing, would I ask? Culprit to you say even to have been hidden in that hut? No way. Of how much decrepit the night watch old man, but if Kome escape criminal is to hut, you do not have a will that unexpected aware of it. The detective's strange question of Akechi replied in a state that felt a little Haradatoshiku. No, are you thinking of me? That am the opposite. I at that time Old man of the night watches. Are you suspect that either did not palm has fallen to somewhere in the hut? Edge. I what is? Old man and pimpin'. I came out of the hut. Nanty fallen in her. Over it is called a criminal was changing the hash in complexion. The meaning of the strange question of the detective. I was noticed at last this time. So, but that old man was bogus person. This is not just my imagination. However, if that guy, kind of racy, I think the trick also could do. Anyway, let's go hurry to the night Bangoya. So, along with the catchy detective Nakamura chief. Now that the rush to Bangoya night and 4 people in the criminal of the guide for hut, and try to put a voice. It does not have what the reply from within. Old man of the best is. You were not there anymore. A catchy detective was depression in the open pull the Iwazoo. Glass door also things. Then, in the narrow hut, but had looked around busy. In a corner of the dirt floor. When the autumn bales of coal noticed her 2-3 propped up. Suddenly, close beside the package the autumn bale I splash with. Then, oh, usuroo of the draft. The old man of alone in his shadow. And stripped the clothes. Becomes a single shirt. Tied the hands and feet. Fitted the gag. Cannot be stuck. What lying is found up in. I guess the detective was splendidly center. The old man who answered the detective who questions in a fake person. What old man was lying in there? It was a night watch of the real Toki the Nawa, doing remove the gag, and you asked while took care of him. The old man, while rubbing the pain of the body, the or else mortification likely, told the private university of thing, while the old man was subjected to a chair, and you have a doze off dozing. Suddenly love the glass door. He seems a man of the shirt has jumped, and do not say whether or not, fitted with a gag an old man, tied the hands and feet and then removed rags clothes was wearing, to defeat to the corner of the dirt floor. I had covered with autumn bales. Man of the shirt does not have Tomosu, it was here to Dr. Tanamura. The culprit is wearing clothes of the old man to do so. Coloring the soot on the face. Wearing a soft hat to Mabuka. The end of the disguise in between the tosa. It was as fairly deceive the criminal us. There is that of the night. Because the opponent is like genius guy is over the disguise surgery. Criminal us. Caught off guard a decrepit old man. There is no wonder happens to have missed. Shirt and pants wore the criminal is. In the corner of the same dirt floor that had been rolling the old man. Was yes and through rounded to crumple. I did a thing indeed regrettable. Together I and criminal gentlemen. If you monitor the offender. Such a thing as I did not occur. It because that had been disturbed by the newspaper reporter. A catchy detective did not even try to blame the criminal us. It was like the regret as it was even in their own omissions. No, I was what sorry is not off guard. Immediately put a cordon in all capital. Even divided the grassroots. We do not place not catch the guy. Nakamura, chief of weaving the blame of criminal at our subordinates we say is to apologize. But perhaps it would be wasted. Nakamura-kun, you think are you that it is who the guy? Even to say who, if not a Hiruda drive had been garbled in Tanamura detective, chief of Rishiku dubious, replied looking at the face of Akechi. But, in the back, are you the other alone horrible guy is hiding? If Tanamura and Hiruda drive, Barry was relief. There is no terribly regret it. Obika have been children, even confidential documents. Replacement guy because of you were. But, also because Tanamura, also because Hiruda doctor. I do not just a guy figure of hunting. He is not a such Namayasashi the bad guys. Quote, Edge. I what is? Well then, that guy is, and has also committed a mortal sin something to still other. Do you say to Nakamura-kun, in this time of the incident, that there is a point which is not fit badly if makes sense? Would be noticed. Tanamura also it just was one of the weapons. But took eating me. Why criminal offender himself is that whether or uncovered the crime. Hiruda drive garbled in Tanamura. the whereabouts of the children and confidential documents that had been great pains to hide. Is that whether my is to bother discovery? Should I do if interpret this? The answer is only one reason. I wanted revenge. Quote, Edge that, of what exactly grudge what is revenge? Who do you desire to revenge? The surprising words of Akechi Nakamura, chief surprise, was reflective listening. It's on us, is to me and the boy detective team. Edge, the boy detective team. Yes, that boy detective team. But you will also, of course you know. Look to think. Here to 4 boys that are not Obika to doctor, or does not have as a leading members of Nokurazu boy detective team. Quote, oh, it was so. But it was not unexpected, no me, but I played the other decent purpose. Precisely because played a purpose. Boys, I felt ready to return to our hand. Speaking of from its purpose was why? On yo children was to afflict fully think. He is called here to drive. Garbled in bad phantom product with a Tsukimi. Captivated the children. Terrible scare. He survived bullying. So the purpose of Guy of revenge is not reached enough such you. Quote, but that confidential documents? It is also just a means to punish the boy detective team. Not only boy of the team members. Afflicting the family. I wanted to say and see what happens. Just Edogawa of the house. The chief engineer to dad because life is hard important document that changed also was stored. When obtained or overdraft. While stolen it, I was plunged into the depths of unhappy Kazuya Eikawa. Even if in addition to the boys of the house, if there is precious goods so much, I but would have been surely stolen. There was no hope in such critical goods. Quote, then, that confidential document, does it did not stole in order to pass sell to spy? It's right, if I was the purpose of changing to gold. What suffering? Will or uncovered the each city location on their own. He is in the newspapers. Toka's dreadful spy, had said Toka's traitor it was. But it only is innocent of the crime. Quote, then, in just a criminal just wanna bully a boy detective team members. So you're right that it has to do that. However, if it, nothing in or garbled detective committing a danger, uncovered a hidden location of a child do is not required to or. If by that remain I because children are not suffering more. Quote, but I was angry as a situation that cannot be done so. What I hope, that I have received pull the detective of this incident, because it was found in him. I know my abilities. Now that I have received pull the case. Before long here to hideout have Dr. been discovered. Children also I thought that might be taken back. He is not only Eikawa-kuna's 4 people. It seems was thinking trying to align the boy detective team members everything in the same. Kind of terrible, however, the I in relation to the incident. Because what the affairs of suddenly here to drive been compromised. Giving up is that the I'll beat other boys. Instead, this time I tried revenge against my own. However, no matter how any guy, but you will not be able to I'll no way obigami. Even without such a thing, means to tease me it is some of properly. I think that the life of the detective business, and it is what has been said detective, or whatever struck, that I, if in competition with private detective to another, if we're defeated Muzamuza, is not that there is no such a thrilling revenge. Fame is my detective, lost from that day, I because you not to leave want the name of the detective on behalf of the detective of the distinction, as I do not have so much painful, it is I noticed there, then, disguised as Anna hunchback of detective, me warring competition, we're plotting trying a caso my nose, the ones that had been hidden by yourself, because you Mizaru seek out on their own, there is no such easy thing. It is. We can defeat me surely. The boys, and terrible bullying, had reached the purpose, using the hidden location of the boys. Now is because you Ijame Yomi. You do not have a whopping good idea. If I, without anything of prepared, if headed up to him, might have fairly addicted to the enemy of Omotsubo. but I called Kobayashi-kun. Had a Bashi Carp assistant to like the squirrel. To disguise the Kobayashi-kun, by tailing Tanamura detective, I was able to outsmart the defense well enemy. Quote, Nakamura, chief of both the criminal us. Listening to this lucid explanation, and what indeed was the case, but was roasted, felt the insight of a catchy detective as of late hour. However, there is a place which is not fallen yet. Amifu. Nakamura chief, while combined grip his hands in frustration, likely interrupting the words of Akechi, were asked. However, it troubled so much world, to committing danger of myself, because for such revenge is nothing on earth. It is not as if the winding is emergency other one. The criminals were enigmatic differences, such bizarre mind. We should have been all alone stores. Called the dexterity of disguise. Called a point that did not hurt the children who had obika. It, such like a magician called the vending flaps. Or does not cause a certain person vividly to recalled. Those that boy detective team is, if they were organized in what opportunity. Also a boy detective team is, the opponent was tormented enough to be so much ulama, or was exactly who. Look is out, I think. Quote, and hear it, Nakamura chief, as was scaring, I was staring at the face of Akechi. Oh, did S.U. It's right. I are you talking about things that Kato 20 countenance. Akechi detective, finally, was the name of that horrible person in the mouth. Oh, Kato 20 countenance. 20th was said to have a completely different face. Master of that disguise, aiming the only venerable works of art, such as the money eyes Kles. I hate to see the blood, such as pistol and dagger almost never used. That gentleman thief. Reader's gentleman became to read the novel The Fiend with 20 Faces, and Detective Boys is the 20 countenances. Whether was any mysterious thief, probably well no. Akechi detective, also Hunchback of Tanamura, also Phantom of Products Hiruda Drive, is because not only disguise of the 20 countenance. However, 20 countenance in the story of the last of the detective boys. With a fire in a barrel of gunpowder in the basement. Not had to own bomb victim. Died 2 had in 10 countenances. Why was able to garbled in Hiruda Drive and Tanamura. Nakamura chief, it's such a fool, just unexpected said to be in, was reflective listening. You have that 20 countenance, yet you say even when alive. Come to think of it from the, yes, I was alive, now, we are of him and was fairly full Kawasa. When that explosion, because we had fled to the far away. The dead are 20 countenance. I have not seen directly in this eye. If you bastard tried to escape, but was able to escape, then detonated the explosives in the fuse from a distance. It could have pretend or else is suicide. The evidence also tried to examine the location with the later explosion. What seems to him of the dead is anywhere not that could not find. At that time, because of the large explosion, I thought that probably ended up within small pieces. Matter of fact, not the case. That guy is blinded our eyes. I was secretly fled. Quote, so, did you there is remember seeing in the face of a little while ago of youth. There is a 20 countenance the real face was happened? Of, chief clerk is bouncing a breath. Was Sumiyori to a catchy detective? No. Look remembered does not there was a. He is a monster which is said to have the land once to face 20. Face of a little while ago of youth also may not be the real face of the real. Nanti guy of real face. Nobody I do not know. Quote, well, you are, what the evidence. Unfortunately Seiko does not have. However, all the circumstances, my thoughts are you endorsed. Not be a 20 countenance. A Rihodo, Readig, the guy that can outstanding was trick? Trying to allow in addition to the think is not. I'm sure, I long detective life experiences. Have you taught me to make clear it? Quote, no way. In the words of our detective Akechi, does not appear it would be a mistake? Then, disguise the magic 20 countenance of that kata is. Do you have still alive? Oh. it would be that what? That monster is. The Tokyo of the middle Nanti was walking with impunity. If the 20 countenance does not put us even more ho. I returned immediately to the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department. Reported that you must arrange the arrest. Senior staff takes so much of a big shot to mortification and hardship. Just unexpected steps on the island. No, there is no way even in a hurry. Too late. The opponent is 20 countenance. Is gone to escape once. Eyes not crowded look to capture suddenly. He is by now is somewhere only to another hideout. A frown. It'll be as garbled to humans completely different. Laughed at us. However, I decide to get peace of mind. It is not supposed to have to sit still in retreat forever. Now in addition, we have challenged to us. I because only that as the guy of life worth living. We, just the guy to come and challenge. I hope if you wait. Now what it does not escape. In the name of the detective Akechi. I'm sure, it will be applied to your eyes captured. Akechi, as some place where sake is something mind. Was strongly assert the, just then as if now the words of Akechi to be endorsed. It happens to be surprising. Here, what comes a Mr. Akechi-san? Outside the night Bangoya, I heard her screaming in a loud voice. Akechi detective, when you hear it? But I smiled. A color of tension is something hurry to open the glass door. And you have a peek at the outside of the darkness. Driving a car hand there the young man seems to have stood with a piece of paper folded in hand. Akechi is my butt. Oh, do you that? Was asked me this. And I received a piece of paper that the driver is hold out. If you look held up to the HUD of the electric light, it should be understood that was cut 2 pieces of paper. Notebook is terrible. Complain in the following manner was yes in Kakinagu with a pencil. Akechi-kun, it was after a long time, and no matter I have to live, it would have been expected of you also surprising. These kind of things in cursory before the arm of the magician. By the way, tonight, it was engaged in terrible because of for you. Unfortunately, let me with my losing. But, at the last minute, or not well then you got to escape the unsatisfying prey. Akechi-kun, to the place of this. He merely prelude of my revenge business. It will start it now really terrible. You also Kobayashi also, then Thugsas of Tantidan also. But is waiting to wash the neck good. Now because I'll show enough to enjoy the fear of my wisdom. Then live 20 countenance. Oh, I did not still reasoning of the detective is wrong. And Mitedo quickly at 20 countenance leaving me the name of preemptively also. If not indeed, this rival is each other of the secrets in their hearts. They had each other to read to take in hand. Use of the driver is taken to the Metropolitan Police Department from the spot. But we received of Genju birds examined. Just from a dirty old man I met on the road. Got the reward of 1,000 yen. Delivered the letter without knowing anything. I found that thus, the battle of and the wisdom of the detective and the thief has entered more and more in this stage. 20 countenance, which represents the true character is. Will any horrible evil the me to the next? Oh, somehow, after the body of the boy detective members is not cared. After several days if there is a previous event. Was that in the evening there? Boy, one of the detective team members of 6th grade elementary school that Nobuo Koizumi boy was Tori Kakari way home from school. Just alone. The in a small park with his Shibuya. Since Koizumi-kun is what's player of the baseball team of the school. Because of its practice, is it so return has become slower. And just for a time of dinner. The more unexpected is divided also seen another human face. Because it has become dimly. Hijoni lonely is in a small park. Always with young children. Are you howha? Also to slide and sandbox. People even you do not see the shadow. Koizumi-kun. Since is the park is what's shortcut. But you block street every day. It was the first time so lonely is. Children of that large tax. And probably had hidden anywhere. Did enough to be wondering. However, when we will walk to the middle of the park, in front of the bottom of the swing, of about 5 years old, while girls bobbed were standing around, devoted to the eyes both hands out on are you trying griping ambiguous did. In the pale gloom Hitako not alone, as it was even in Oitekabori. Or else, if you look at the girl crying in loneliness seems, did not collect as somehow poor. By Koizumi you are determinedly and beside it. Put a hand on the girl's shoulder, while Nazaki its pretty face, was multiplied by the voice. What happened? Why are you crying? Then girls, talking his hands had been addressed to the eye, in the eye, such as a doll that was bright, and looked up at the Koizumi-kun, while Nikitakori, and you out of I do not know, you answer faintly. Oh, I'm Maiko. You came to a place like this and you alone? You came together with someone? Uncle Chan is gone. Oh, come with me and uncle. It's got stray somewhere. I wish was troubled. Kim Minchi exactly where from? Far that? Quote. Zoo, and over there of. I do not know of Itachi. Girl. And so said in tangled tongue. Also began to cry griping. In such young children, even when asked how much, it does not mean you know is true. Koizumi-kun, but I have troubled, and do not bid by chance my go-bill. And suddenly noticed, when you looked around the body of the girl, at the armpits of the apron in good condition, a small silver medal something like have hanging. It was discovered that her Horitsuke is Setagaya Kejiricho. 220 Aiko Nizawa. There is not if a Kejiri the town ya. Go do not take enough even if goodwill on the train. Alright, I'll go and send. In the you of you out. Because I do not pombe or worried about. No matter how. Koizumi-kun muttered as half monologue. When you pull the hand of the girl, out of the hurry park, was rushed to a nearby stop field. This is the spirit of the boy detective team. Criminals in fight as well, using the detective eye of the customer. If it would be for the world even a little, because willing to work was the happy daily monkey of members us. Get off the train at the stop field of Akajiri the town. If you look for 220 address, you're out of Aiko-chan. Was found not even elephant is. It's around here was surrounded by hedges. Garden-wide mansion are side by side. But it was a lonely town. The gates of the mansion that was turned and high board fences sandwiched in the hedge. And he has nameplate that Nizawa it was that could. Aiko-chan. I hear, you Uchiyo, of Itachi, and shout. Pull the hand of Koizumi-kun. It was rushed with delight into the gate. When you try entered the gates. But not a terribly fine building. Nevertheless, it stood a mansion of quite large wooden. The garden is a broad state also like. Aiko-chan. Too much of joy, because the thing that made a big voice. And look with your Uchino Hiro noticed as early. When the front door is evil. From the bottom of about 50 years of age. With a beard, a fine the face of the gentleman was peeping. As soon as see it, Aiko-chan, shouting, Uncle Chan, quote, went suddenly, jumped at the chest of the gentleman, have been brought into this person. There is no difference to become Maiko. I came back well Aiko-chan, Uncle Chan, I do not pombe are not worried. No matter how, gentleman is saying so, but had been stroking the girl's head. Koizumi-kun is standing suddenly there when the notice to be that. With a smile, it was multiplied by the voice. Oh, do you have who have brought? Thank you. I have had a large commotion among. I just thought that it's hope the search to the police now on the phone. Well, please enter your here. It may want to ask your variety. You want I would like to also thank you. Because what also stood talking. You. Please be a little entered here. Quote. Koizumi-kun if you wait too long and deliver send a girl. Because I do not any more errands. I had wanted to go home as it is. A gentleman came out to the outside of the front door. So we recommend you to take a hand. It's shaking off and go home not to Ikazu also. It has been with lured into the house. If you try to enter, no way in this big out. But would not you live in the old gentleman and Aiko-chan and Futari-kiri? Oddly enough. And also. No maid also. Student also. It does not come out nobody is in the house. If you are with Garong is somehow tired of the house. I strangely feel like Uso-samui. No, the strange is not the only house of the old gentleman in their appearance. It is also had changed badly. The long hair of Io in the all back, keep the mustache, such as the military, which hit the pin. The Ikameshi beard was cut into triangle, multiplied by the large Lloyd glasses of black edge, a feeling that went even to the clothing of the West. Are you wearing a black baggy and clothes? Readers, gentlemen, this in their appearance is only now you think. Whether the gentleman is who? I think that another notice of it, as you might guess, it is that terrible Spectre drive was Hiruta. Needless to say, it is garbled 20 countenance. However, Koizumi-kun, but knew about to know the name of the Hiruta drive, because never met is not even once. Surely that it would be disguised appearance of it is terrible 20 countenance does not know dream. However, I had just felt it strange uncle. Oh, dangerous. Koizumi-kun was fairly fallen into the trap of the enemy. We have not yet noticed any 20 countenances. Is had invited Koizumi-kun in the house. Exactly. What would to try to? Even so, the innocent girl, deliberately in the Maiko, to the lure Koizumi boy comfortably. If not a whopping pile in mind cleanly. Thank you very much. Do I have to thank? No matter how, I is enough to not be expressed in words. If not me, if save as you. Aiko might or not be in any terrible eyes. Thing called kidnapping. Even now so does not say is that there is no. Come on, please through to the back. In the back of the room. Let's slowly talk. I'm lively children such as Kimmy's the big favorite. Komi also. It is was the inventor. I such was completed the invention of a great machine. It also I'd like to make to your eyes to you. The machine, located in the back of my room. Come on, here, what I will not even hesitate. You guess because I a benefactor was helping the Aiko. Quote, Hiruta drive is sure else the good guy. While a smile and a smirk. Continue talking such a thing in the cat's stroking voice, so as to press the back of the Koizumi-kun from behind. Ikuma brought to the back pale to dark corridor to the back did. To be continued. Thank you for your viewing. If you like, please subscribe to the channel. I am very encouraged.